Hi everyone, this is going to be our life study warm-up. I'm going to show you how to set up an area for your life study and how to sketch it out and how to make it look really good. Okay, so first now you're going to pick a few different objects lying around the house or wherever you are, and you want to put them up on a table or a stool, just something far away from you. Here I have a paper towel roll, a sphere, and a marker box. Next, you want to make sure that you have a light source to shine on your objects. Here I have a lamp on a tripod. You can just use a normal lamp at home that you have, and make sure that you can turn off the lights in the room you're in so that you have some really nice shading. Let me show you. Okay, so now you can see that, especially from that marker box, we have a really dark cast shadow on that table. This is the kind of effect you want so that you can draw not only the shading on the objects, but you can also draw the shading on the table and the surface it's affecting. All right? The really cool thing about still lifes is that you can also move around the objects that you are going to be drawing, or you can even move around the lamp or the light source that you're using as well. So if you put this in the middle of a room, you can actually move around to different parts of the room and you'll always get a different angle to draw. Okay, so now let's get started. Alright, so now let's start our life study warm-up. So in my life study, I have a sphere, paper towel roll, and a box of markers. You can use anything lying around the house, like I said before. But you just want to look at your shapes and really find some really easy, simple ones. So obviously the sphere is like a circle. The paper towel roll is kind of like a cylinder, a rounded top and a rounded bottom. And then the box of markers is a box, a rectangular cube. So now that I've found my shapes, I can start doing my life study. If you have more complex items, just try to find certain shapes. You can start with circles, ovals, rectangles, squares, triangles, pentagons, any kind of shape you need, maybe a star. I don't know what you're drawing. Feel free to follow along with the picture I'm drawing, or you can just kind of watch and see first and do your own. But let's get started. So I'm going to do a sphere. I'm going to do my sphere first. So I'm going to just draw a circle here. And since this doesn't have to be a perfect drawing, I'm just gonna keep it kind of loose, kind of sketchy. And that's totally fine. We're just here to look at our picture or our still life and just find the shapes and draw them. That's pretty much it, it's just practice. So I can see that my paper towel roll is kind of hitting the sphere at this point. So I'm going to make this dot here so you can see it, and I'm going to draw a line from my paper towel roll along its length. Okay, and it has a round end on both sides. Okay, and it kind of just goes back and connects. Kind of look like a pill shape right now, but that's totally fine. I'm gonna go in and fix that again later. Okay, and then next we have our box. Our box is kind of far away from the other objects, so I'm gonna put it about here. I'm going to start with the height of the box. It's about that high. And the bottom of the box kind of lines up with this sphere. So I'm just drawing the angles first, a rough height, and boxes are a really good life study example because the perspective of these boxes really shows, especially in this picture I'm using. The angles of this box really show you the perspective because they're not all the same. If you're doing a one-dimensional box, or a one point perspective box, I should say, all of the curves would follow along this point, right? Whoops. Like so. But even in this kind of box, all of these aren't necessarily the same. It's getting smaller as it goes away, and that's what is also happening here. So now that I have my shapes laid out, we're gonna start just doing some loose shading and just finding that dark. So I'm gonna start with my sphere again. There's a little bit of dark right under that sphere on the other side where the light's not hitting it. So the light is also coming from about here. Like I said, you want to kind of keep it loose, and this is a really good way to practice, but also just kind of help the time pass. It's really soothing to just find some really funny things to draw at your house and just put them in weird positions or weird angles. It's like you'd never think to draw like a bottle of oil or a pillow, but it's really good practice just to kind of see how funny things can be and how things look in real life. Because it's one thing to be able to draw from your mind, but it's also another thing to draw what you see. It's a lot of dark right here. Like I said, I'm keeping it pretty loose. We're not really looking to achieve realism, but we're just trying to warm up our hands to the idea of looking at things and trying to translate them onto paper. So I got that pretty loose. Okay, and now I'm gonna go on to my paper towel roll. We'll do our cast shadows later. So I'm going to fill in this ovally part of my paper towel roll, and I'm going to even do the inside right here. Okay, and the inside, whoops, it's not that big. Let me adjust. The inside's really dark, so we're just gonna make that really dark. Okay. And the top of my light's really hitting that roll, but there's just a line where it starts getting darker along the roll, and it's super dark where it touches the table because the cast shadow on that table is pretty dark. Okay, pretty dark right here. And if you want to make it a little bit smoother, you can always go back and smooth out your shading. And if you want to try to do it more realistic, that's totally fine. But I'm just going to use this as a drawing exercise. Okay, and then on my box, so my box is kind of see-through, so I'm just going to I'm just going to shade where I think I see some color. So I'm going to go along here. We got some darks. It's a little bit of dark right here. That might just be from the reflection. And it's really dark right here, actually, along this part of the box. Okay, all right. So now that I have my pretty loose life study here, I'm just going to start doing my cast shadows. So I'm going to start with my sphere since it has a pretty light shadow. From what I can see, it looks like it's kind of casting two different ways. So I'm going to start with the lighter one. I'm going to make the sphere shape. Okay, and it's pretty darker along the edges. Okay, and near the middle. So I think this has two shadows because it kind of curves out. It's pretty dark, and it kind of connects to the paper towel's cast shadow, which is why I think there are two shadows. And this is pretty light. Lighter. Blend it in a little bit as needed. Okay. And that paper towel roll has a pretty dark shadow, so it kind of goes from under the roll, and the shadow follows the length of that paper towel roll. And it's just dark. just really dark. So I'm going to take a hard stroke on my pencil, putting a lot of pressure on the pencil. So I'm going quickly. Feel free to smooth that out. Okay. And then, please get a little bit dark, just a little bit. Okay. And then the box's cash shadow is also really dark. So it starts at the corner right here, and it goes out. Out to about here. So I don't have a lot of space on my paper anymore, but I'm just going to fill in what I can. Okay. And there you go, a really quick life study. Okay. You don't have to use big objects too. You could use pencils, erasers. Just use whatever you have around the house and whatever's sitting around, and just draw it. So yeah, once you're done with that, then you're ready to start working on your upcoming project.